I know how you two feel. It is the worst feeling in the world. The feeling is mixed with anger. It's just broken all around. Blake Shelton may look like the happiest country music star, but there's a terrible secret behind his smile. From unimaginable losses as a child to marriages that fell apart because of his fame, his story is much darker than his fans ever thought. How did his success turn into the thing that scares him the most? And what pain does he hide that affects every song he writes? Along with the shocking truth about Blake's marriage to Gwen Stefani, we'll talk about how his life has been. People have looked at Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani for years as the unique love story of modern music. A pop-punk star from Fullerton, California, and a country star from Ada, Oklahoma. It felt like fate brought us together. They fell in love on the set of The Voice in late 2015, when both of them were still hurting from their divorces. They had fans in Nashville, Los Angeles, and other places who thought they had found a second chance at happiness. Now, though, whispers from reputable news sources like People magazine and TMZ paint a much darker picture behind the carefully chosen Instagram posts and red carpet visits. Several people who work in the business say that Blake and Gwen are no longer living together full-time. Gwen spends most of her weeks in Los Angeles, where her fashion brand and music obligations keep her busy. Blake, on the other hand, goes to his huge Oklahoma ranch to relax, a place that has held him down since he was a child. They plan to find a middle ground at the couple's Encino estate, which they bought in 2020 for an amazing $13 million. The modern 5-bedroom house had a huge pool, a state-of-the-art theater, and every other luxury you can think of. Fans saw it as a middle ground where Gwen's California glamour and Blake's country values could coexist. But that mansion is said to be empty and quiet now, just a shell of what it was supposed to be. People who know the couple well say it doesn't feel like a home, but rather like an empty memorial to broken promises. They are getting farther apart because of a clash of worlds. Blake has always wanted the peace and quiet of a country, as well as the rough roads and steady pace of life there. He often says that Oklahoma is his safe place because it's quiet there, and he can hunt, fish, and write songs there. However, does very well in the busy city of Los Angeles. The fast-paced music business, the fashion spotlight, and the constant creative collaborations that have made her job what it is since the 1990s are what she lives for. What used to feel like balance now looks like split, since neither side is ready to give up their whole identity. Being close to Gwen's 3 boys, Kingston, Zuma, and Apollo, makes Blake's emotional pain worse. Since the beginning of their relationship, has cared for his stepson in a way that has surprised many of his fans. In conversations, he talked a lot about how these boys gave him reason to live outside of acting. A possible split would not only break up a marriage, but it could also separate Blake from the kids he loves like they are his own. That kind of loss would be unbearable for a man who has been through 2 divorces already. It's very ironic. In July 2021, Blake and Gwen said their vows in a small wedding at a chapel he built on his ranch. He hoped that this would be his last walk down the aisle because it was his 3rd time. People in the know say that trial separations and divorce are on the horizon, so that chapel is now both a place of refuge and a sign of sadness. For Blake Shelton, the shocking truth is that love that takes place in the public eye can sometimes burn hottest but fade the fastest. Once the flaws in love are shown, the real question is whether Blake Shelton's wealth can save or kill him. He has $150 million, but that money can't make him happy. Blake Shelton seems to be living the American dream. The Oklahoma native is 49 years old and has made a wealth of about $150 million. It's the kind of money that most country acts can only dream of. But there is a much more painful truth behind those numbers. Blake is even more alone now that he has money. It took Shelton a long time to build his business. He has had more than 30 #1 songs since his first single, Austin, came out in 2001, taking another step toward becoming one of Nashville's most bankable stars. His job as a teacher on The Voice brought in extra money. He made between $13 and $15 million per season for 23 seasons, according to reliable sources. There are endorsement deals with Pepsi, Pizza Hut, and Smithworks Vodka, as well as a restaurant chain called Ola Red, with sites in Nashville, Orlando, and Tishomingo. The numbers show that he is a huge success that can't be stopped. People who know Blake well say that the money hasn't given him the peace of mind that he wants most. The huge 1,300-acre 10-point ranch in Tishomingo, Oklahoma, is still his crown jewel. The land, which was bought for almost $15 million, has a Southern-style Victorian mansion, a private chapel, horse barns, and even a barn dominium for guests. Outsiders see it as a sign of wealth. Blake sees it as both a fortress and a jail. Every acre shows how he tried to build permanence in a life marked by change, failed marriages, pressure from the business, and constant public scrutiny. His retreat on Lake Texoma is close by and has its own recording station. Some people in the business say that Blake writes some of his most raw and intense work here, by himself. Millions of people stream songs that were written by one person, made in a place where the noise of packed stadiums seems very far away. The studio helps him feel better, but it also shows that money can't take away pain. The same can be said about his business pursuits. Ole Red was meant to bring his fans back to his real small-town roots by combining Southern food, country music, and friendliness. It has instead turned into another branded outpost, a place where realism is sold in a package. Blake is reminded that his personality, which used to be his best quality, is now a product every time a check clears, whether it's from a restaurant, vodka sales, or national ad campaigns. There's nothing sad about how this wealth was gained. It's how it is being spent. With an endless supply of money and luxury items, Blake can hide away from hard facts by locking himself in his properties and blocking out the rest of the world. He builds another house, gets more land, or starts another business instead of dealing with the heartbreak, abandonment, and loss that have been a part of his adult life. Many people in the business world in Nashville quietly agree that the money has become his shield, keeping him safe from both other people and himself. The news may talk a lot about Blake Shelton's net worth, but there's a sad reality hidden behind the numbers. His empire has set him free, but it has also taken away the link he wants. Rich people put up walls around him, but what terrible event from his youth still haunts every song he sings? There is still a ghost of death in every song he writes. Every note Blake Shelton has ever sung has been shaped by a wound so deep that it can't be seen or touched. A tragedy in his childhood in a small Oklahoma town broke his heart and left scars he would never get rid of. This happened long before the stadium tours, #1 songs, and glimmer of Nashville success. Blake's bigger brother, Richie Shelton, died in a terrible car accident in 1990 when Blake was only 14 years old, just outside of Oklahoma City, Ada. Richie was 24 years old and a rising star in the music business. He wanted to make a name for himself in the same field that would later accept his younger brother. Blake saw Richie as more than just a brother or sister. He taught me, looked out for me, and was the first person who made the thought of music seem possible. He was more than just a family member. He was also his center. Ada friends and neighbors remember that accident as one of the worst times in the Shelton family's life. Faith and family helped Blake's mother, Dorothy, and father, Richard, get through it. But for Blake, the horror hit him in a different way. At an age when most boys worry about Friday night sports and school dances, he was thinking about his own death. The accident took away more than just Richie. It also took away his sense of safety and stable living. His art quickly showed how sad he was. Blake had been learning to play the guitar from his uncle Ronnie Millsap by the time he was 12. And after Richie died, the instrument was his only way to stay alive. He put all of his energy into writing songs, writing words that no one at Ada High School ever saw. In them, he let out feelings that were too heavy to talk about. He was entering neighborhood talent shows when he was 15. The judges couldn't ignore the pain in his words. At first, what seemed like a goal was really a way to stay alive for Richie through music. Years later, Blake's first song, Austin, came out in 2001. It was a heartfelt ballad about love and loss. But people who knew him well knew that his weakness had roots in 1990. The most moving honor may have been the song Over You, which he wrote with his then-wife Miranda Lambert in 2012. Richie gave the song its idea, and it became an anthem of raw grief that touched millions of people and won Song of the Year at the Country Music Association Awards. Blake thought it was more than just a hit. Richie's voice was echoing through him and finally getting to everyone. People who know Blake say that his loss has shaped his love problems as well as his achievement. Because of how Richie's death changed him emotionally, he is always looking for connection but also sure that loss is inevitable. Fans of The Voice see a charismatic teacher who is always ready with a joke. On stage, he's still the 14-year-old who lost his brother on an Oklahoma road, though. It's a terrible irony that Richie's death gave Blake Shelton the depth, honesty, and pain that inspire his songs and connect him with millions of fans around the world. At age 49, he is still one of the biggest names in country music, but he is still singing to fill a void that was left 30 years ago. Why does Blake Shelton's weddings always end in the same painful way that his brothers did? Blake has had 3 failed marriages, and all of them have the same sad pattern. Blake Shelton has never had a lot of breakups in his love life. It was like the same painful scene played over and over again in all 3 of his big marriages. First, there was happiness and deep bond, and then there was the inevitable fall. It's what psychologists call unresolved trauma. Fans think of it as a sad loop. Kenneth Williams was Blake's high school sweetheart. They got married in a small wedding back in Oklahoma in 2003. She had known him for a long time before they met in Nashville, and their love seemed strong at first. It was stability in Kenneth that he was looking for after years of grief and mental upheaval. But as Blake's career took off with hit songs like Austin and Some Beach, the fame that made his future possible ended their relationship. Always traveling, having to deal with the needs of a rising star, and long studio sessions kept him away. In 2006, they got a divorce, which was the first time Blake saw his personal life fall apart because of his fame. In 2011, after 5 years, Blake got married to Miranda Lambert in Texas. A lot of people thought this couple was the golden couple of Nashville and the crown jewel of country music. They were both award-winning artists who were very independent and worked in the same tough business. Fans thought they had broken the loop for a while. In spite of this, their shared passion became flammable behind the scenes. People in the industry talked behind closed doors about jealousy, ego clashes, and emotional baggage. Their tragedies didn't help each other heal. Instead, they made each other worse. By 2015, their split had